Welcome back, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt, joined by United States Senator Tom Cotton from the great state of Arkansas. Good morning, Senator. Welcome back. Always a pleasure to speak with you.
Good morning, Hugh. Thank you. It's good to be back on with you.
Do you oblige yourself to watch the Democratic National Convention, or do you watch a baseball game? The Guardians, for example, the best team in baseball.
Hugh, I'll confess that last night, after having watched the Sox beat the Astros to win that series and have a great road trip against two of the best teams in baseball, I was watching your Indians let down Sox fans everywhere by losing 8-1 to the Yankees. Although they had a great extra innings win the night previously, so maybe they
we blew up the Yankees bullpen, but occasionally we do have to hit. So if we split with the Yankees, I think you should be happy with me. Senator, I want to play for you three things back to back of what Tim Walz said last night, because they're just absurd. Cut number 18 for Senator Cotton, 19 and 20.
They'll start jacking up the costs on the middle class. They'll repeal the Affordable Care Act. They'll gut Social Security and Medicare. And they will ban abortion across this country with or without Congress.
Cut number 18.
A family trying to get into the middle class, Kamala Harris is going to cut your taxes. She's taken on the predators and fraudsters. She's taken down the transnational gangs.
It's absurd, Senator. It was just a pack of lies.
Yeah, Hugh, that's why I don't take the time to watch the Democratic National Convention, because you hear such nonsense. First off, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and Democrats saying they're going to bring down costs for the middle class is like O.J. Simpson saying he's going to find the real killer. It's it's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris who gave us generational inflation. In fact, Kamala Harris cast the deciding vote, literally, in her role under the Constitution as president of the Senate for the $1 trillion tax and spend bill that ignited this inflation back in 2021. And you heard her just last week admit that the price of bread is too high and the price of eggs are too high and the price of meat is too high, as every family who goes to the grocery store knows. But it wasn't too high when Donald Trump was president. And that's just the things, along with gas, that people see every single week. The cost of so many other unavoidable expenses for middle-class families has gone up tremendously if you consider car insurance and home insurance and health insurance, electricity. These are all up at unsustainable levels for working-class families. The only way to get costs under control is to stop these tax and spend Democrats, to elect Donald Trump to the White House and put Republicans back in charge of the Senate.
Now, Senator, I had been expecting quite a bump from the month of joy and no questions from the media, followed by 2 nights of the DNC. But YouGov economists came back with a margin of error difference between Harris and Trump. And I don't know that she can really add much more to what Michelle Obama, that was their big hit, was Michelle Obama did blow the socks off. But she's not running. Kamala Harris is running, and you've heard her speak before. Maybe she can do a pretty good speech tonight, but they're not getting out of this what they thought they'd get out of it. I think their expectations are somewhat disappointed. What do you think?
You know, Hugh, we've always expected the race would be close. We think it'll come down to a handful of critical swing states, but we're also confident that the American people remember that when Donald Trump was president, things were good. Prices were under control. Jobs were growing, wages were growing, and we had peace and stability around the world. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in charge, everything has gone to hell. Middle-class families can't afford prices. We just heard yesterday that the 800,000 jobs that were supposedly in existence aren't in existence, and you have war breaking out all around the world. So I don't know what the polls will say on a kind of fluctuating day-to-day basis, but I'm confident that the more the American people learn about Kamala Harris and her radical outside-the-mainstream views, the more they're going to remember that Donald Trump brought them peace and prosperity, and they want that back.
Now, the former president decided to flood the zone yesterday, and he always starts with me when he does that, and I'm glad that he came back. I spent most of my conversation with the former president talking about Israel. I want to play for you a 2-minute poll because it's the most important, especially given that overnight the IDF just began to pound Hezbollah. I think maybe Tony Blinken's mission to stop a war during the convention has failed. But here's what the former president told me about Israel and Iran yesterday, cut number 13. But I want to start with Israel, Mr. President. Do you think President Biden and Secretary Blinken have held Israel back? Are they making Israel basically fight to a draw?
I think that Israel's being hurt very badly by the Democrats. I think they're making it very hard for the Democrats to win, very, very hard for the Democrats to what they're doing with respect to Israel, what the Democrats are doing, they're making it very hard for Israel to win. If you take a look at the stance, the other side is saying just hold out. If they hold out, they know they're going to win because so much pressure is being put on Israel. Right now, Israel, the pressure that's being put on them by Biden and Schumer, who's frankly, Schumer is he a member of Hamas? Is he a Palestinian? I don't know. How would a Jewish person contribute to Democrats right now? They have to finish the job. Israel has to finish the job, get it done, and get it done fast. And they have to do it. They have to get it done fast.
Now, Mr. President, if Iran hit them again,
October 7th. There are a lot of people that are saying October 7th never existed. That it never existed. It never took place. That's starting. They used to say the Holocaust never took place.
I know. There are crazy.
In a moment like this.
There are crazy people out there.
There's never been a moment like this for Jewish people.
If Iran hits Israel a second time, do you want Israel to hit them back much, much harder than they did the first time? Because Biden said, take the win. I couldn't believe he said that, but he said, take the win. It wasn't a win. A Bedouin girl got injured and they took 300 missiles. Would you urge Israel to hit back hard?
They have no choice. Otherwise, it's never going to end. They have no choice. There has to be retribution. And it's going to have to take place. And the worst thing they have going is Biden. Now he's out at a beach again someplace. Somebody says he looks good in a bathing suit.
So there you heard, Senator Cotton. There has to be retribution. Do you agree with him? And do you think that helps deter Iran? Because they've got to understand Netanyahu will just crush them if they hit again.
Well, sure. Well, what deters Iran is the American military and a commander-in-chief with that kind of resolution we just heard from Donald Trump. Remember, we did not get into a war with Iran. We didn't have to invade and occupy Iran. We didn't even have to shoot any missiles at Iran. We took one strike at their terrorist mastermind, Qasem Soleimani, in Iraq, who richly deserved to die, and we held in bay the Ring of Fire terror network they have around Israel, from Hezbollah in the north to Gaza in the south, and outlaw rebels in Yemen further south down the Red Sea, because Iran was scared of Donald Trump. No one is scared of Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. There's a reason why Iranians are trying to kill Donald Trump and hack into his campaign's computer system and not doing that to Kamala Harris. They are rooting for team appeasement, which is exactly what Kamala Harris has tried to do for 4 years. She would probably be even worse on Middle Eastern security and protecting America's interests than Joe Biden. It's well known inside Washington that she's a consistent voice of even further efforts to restrain Israel, to force them to surrender, to accept Hamas as a governing authority inside of Gaza.
Now, it is true that support for Israel is not among the top 5 issues among Americans when they are polled. It's always the economy followed by the border. However, there are some Americans, and I think it's not an insignificant number of Americans, for whom Israel is the most important issue. Is there any doubt in your mind, I wrote about this for Fox News this morning, that if you're one of those voters, you're pulling the lever for Donald Trump? Because if you're a strong supporter of Israel, we're in for the worst presidency ever for Israel as a state in its 76-year history if Kamala Harris is elected.
I think so, Hugh, and I also think that those Americans, and they are legion, for whom support for Israel is critical, also believe in a strong posture for America's interest around the world. It's a very, very rare voter who wants America to support Israel to the hilt, who then supports, for instance, weakness and appeasement towards China or Russia or other adversaries. And all of those voters, and again, they are legion across the country, to include in these key swing states, know that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are weak. They're not strong. They lack confidence in America. They propose to cut the budget of the military every single year they've been in office, and Kamala Harris would do even worse.
You know, there are a few podcasts I listen to every time they drop, Senator. One of them is Commentary, another is Ruthless. Commentary has been very objective in saying that, look, there have been some very good moments at the Democratic National Convention. That's why I love Podhoretz and Abe and the rest of the gang. I also didn't know that you'd been roasted by them a year ago. I would have bought tickets for that. I would have brought things to throw, et cetera. But when commentary is complimenting the DNC, do you worry about the number bump that they will get?
Well, Hugh, I think a lot of what you've seen over the last month might reflect the traditional kind of coalescing around the candidates that a party chooses. So I don't know if there'll be a big polling bump coming out of the DNC. There may be, there may not be, who knows. But I do know this. Over the next 10 weeks, as the American people take a closer look at Kamala Harris and her radical positions on things like decriminalizing illegal immigration and giving illegal aliens taxpayer-funded health insurance, while she takes away your health insurance on the job and bans the production of fossil fuel energy in America, they are going to repudiate Kamala Harris, and they're going to say they want the good times of Donald Trump, of the first Trump presidency back in the White House.
That's it. I think they want the Trump economy back. Senator Tom Cotton, always a pleasure to speak with you. Follow him at Send Tom Cotton. The poor man's a Red Sox fan.